Before we look on a scale when I open before, and we modified scale of these particles. So from 1 point, which is default, I reduced by 10 times. You notice right here we have the plus and minus, which allowed us to randomize this. So it's mean particles can be anywhere from 0 to 0.2. So the next, you notice we have it mass. Currently mass is 1 kilogram. And this is actually very important when you start working with the precisions on the particles effect with ventilators. So if you want to reduce, you can make less mass, and this will affect when, for example, use the ventilators or mass the gravity change, so it will affect. Also notice right here we have it a random. Overall, our right side will represent a random number that we can apply to our preset. In this case, we can create variations of different particles and how they will affect. The next, also we have it connect to the function. So when we click on this, we can open function editor and specifically work with the connections to that particle, connect this particle to any functions or to any other effector. This will require a little bit more in-depth work, and we'll cover this in our third set of tutorials when we start working with function editors and all functions as well. So other options, the checkbox, so they're optional to enable. Drag coefficient, we can increase or decrease. It depends how smooth you want this object pass through. For example, if you have it oil bubble, it may be 1 decrease drag coefficient. Also we have it adhesion coefficient. This is work when you have it on a surface, how smooth it will going. Okay, we have it elasticity. In this case, if the object need bounced, how elastic of this object will work. And we have it attachment force, which will affect how much two particles will attach to each other or to other properties. So it is in some effect of the, like for example in water drops, you see how they come together. So this is what affect that. We also have it properties and here emitter velocity. So for example, if this cube, which is particle itself, will produce another particles, it can inherit all the velocity and speed additional. So for example, if this is going with 1 velocity right now and we start emitting second, it will add to velocity original of the object. Always face the camera. It's useful if you have it any flat kind of like images, not necessarily 3D objects. You maybe want to use it some alpha maps for this, and always face it camera so you will see just only those flat objects. So evolution, this is what happened to the particle after it's emitted. So we have it life size variation. We can increase or decrease. Currently it's work as a smoke, so as it's going up it will increase in size, and you can see what here. You can also increase. Also we have it altitude size variation. Depending on altitude, you can notice how it's increasing. As going you higher, it is increasing size. Again, this is very useful for the smoke. And opacity, it can be decreased. So if you have it smoke and it's going up, you can see smoke dissipated in an area. So in this case, you want to use it opacity. So life size variations, it's a grow by on the as longer it exists, it's increasing size. Altitude, the higher it's going or lower, depending how you set, it will change its size. And opacity, it will change based on the time life or relatively to the size if you're increasing. So the bigger it is, it's a more opacity, for example, if it's related to the smoke. You also can apply additional color variations based on the picker and a tool. Okay, next we have it periodic emission. So right here we can add additional particles to our particles. So for example, we can go select cube already, and now our cube particle will emit additional particles. So right here we can preview. You see how particles emitted, and they start emitting additional particles from this cube. In this case, if you remember where the properties was set, inherit emit velocity, so this will apply as well to our particle emissions. Notice it's also add as a subchild in our particles effect, so we can seeing directly how it's emitted. Notice we have a time It's meaning this is a touch in a time period of during lifetime our cube. Okay, as we work with the properties for this cube, you'll notice right here we have our original velocity, that is how much emitted from. We also have it flow, how many produce, and randomness. So if you want to increase flow, how many, we can increase 5. So in this case 5 cubes will emit it at same time at the time of the second from our original. So notice right here it's take a little bit longer, and of course it's emit quite a bit more, so we have a lot of objects created this time. So let me go ahead, reduce this to 1. Okay, next we have the property for the collision, and you notice this is what happened in a collision. So for example, if I want this particle explode when it's collide, I need to add additional particles. So in this case, when my cube collide with the object above, it will explode on a smaller or other objects. Notice right here I can have it also died on a collision. So if you enable this, it means when the particle will hit, particle will disappear by itself, the original particle, but it will also still creating those teeny tiny other small particles going around. So this way is almost like a debris if you want to create it. Okay, depth of the object you can specify. For example, currently if you set live durations, you can set okay, let me go disable this one. Okay, so I have an accidentally load object, but you notice right here we have live duration, so we can set how long the object particle that we created will exist till it's stop existing, and upon a death what you want to do. For example, if we're creating firework and other tutorials, okay, we can see the firework fire up, and it's going for maybe, let's say, 2 seconds, and after 2 seconds it can destroy itself or blow up on small other pieces. On this case, you don't need any collision or any other properties. So this is again just additional options. More colors on this, please check other tutorials about particle illusion, where we created based on the project many different type of the particles, the simulations, fireworks, smoke, waterfall, and more. Okay, again, this is will applied to our other particles if you notice as we're creating them. Notice also we have an icon as we're creating, one which is creating on a collision, one which is created by time. So you have all these additional particles they created as we working and adding along. So the bake particles will help us to minimize a render time by baking polygons and some lightings towards this. So when you enable baking, you notice right here you can start baking particle motions from start time to end and how many frames you needed. It will take original time, but if you do not modify after particles, you should be save a lot of time on your final animation render. Okay, as overall the values, you notice right here we have how many presses we wanted, velocity, which is same velocity which is allowed those particles on a 0 going up. So we take this velocity and we'll set to the 0. Now you will notice we're going up. Okay, let's go right here actually with a 0 velocity, but we still have a velocity from previous cube, so they will be adding on, but overall the velocity is how much they will project. And we also have it right here, variation of velocity 0.5, so that is affecting as well original velocity random set for our particles. So you can see right here it's going different and they're going sideways. The reason is why they still have it motions, because if we look before, we still have our mass properties right here, and as a global we still have our drag force and turbulence and ventilators is enabled. So those ones are additional options. So if you still have C motions, be sure you don't want it, you go all global and local and disable those motions as well. Also, as we speak about, even we're using particles, notice you have similar displays. You have fast population mode, you have display options, and also distributions that is can be set random through the function. And rest properties apply as well for this layer with your density, same as an ecosystem, scaling and orientation, color, and presence based on the material altitude, global, or other properties. Thank you for watching this tutorial from Geekatplay Studio. Please remember visit us on our web is www.geekatplay.com.